Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Amaro Ordonez Jacobson. I am a sophomore.
My name is Libby. I'm a sophomore.
I'm Oluseyi Gundepe. I'm a sophomore.
Hi, my name is Sydney. I'm a sophomore.
I'm Bakal. I'm a sophomore.
Hey everyone, I'm Cynthia. I am a sophomore.
So I'm Max Du. I'm currently a sophomore.
I'm actually an individually designed major. It's like a combination of Aeroastro and CS.
I'm a human bio major.
My major is probably going to be computer science, specialized in biocomp.
I'm majoring in biomedical computation.
I'm a biochemistry major.
I'm thinking of majoring in computer science.
I'm studying computer science.
Are you a legacy student?
I'm not a legacy, no.
I am not a legacy student.
Stanford? Nope.
I'm not.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I am not.
What kind of high school did you go to?
I went to a rural public high school.
I went to a really small high school. It was a private high school.
It was just a public high school.
I went to a private Catholic high school.
I went to a really big public high school in Texas.
I went to like a public high school.
So I went to a public high school, around 1,200 people.
What was your GPA?
On a 4-point scale, it was like a 3.983.
4.0.
3.8 to 4.0, in that range.
Like a 4.3.
Unweighted was a 4.0.
Like a 4.9.
Weighted, my GPA was above 4.
What did you get on the SAT or ACT?
Super score was like a 1430.
I got a 1470.
ACT, I believe, was a 34.
I think I got a 33.
I did score in the 99th percentile on the SAT, but I'd prefer not to say what I actually got.
My score was a 1550.
So on the SAT, I got a 1570.
How many AP classes did you take, and what did you get on them?
I think I took between 8 and 10 AP classes, and I think I got between 4 and 5 fives.
My school did not have AP classes.
Five APs.
So I took the entire AP curriculum with the exception of like the language class. Like I took all the sciences, all the Englishes, all the maths. Got like mostly 5s on everything. I got a 4 on physics 1.
What was your class ranking?
I think when I applied, I was 4th.
Also did not have that.
But I'm pretty sure I was class rank 11.
Top 10.
I do not remember my exact rank. I was in the top 5%.
So they didn't give class rankings. I feel like I was like in the top handful of students.
What was the extracurricular activity you focused on the most in high school?
I was I was definitely I was not a band kid, I was a kid in band.
The most in high school was definitely theater.
So I probably split my time the most between track and field and student council.
I did high school volleyball, D1, open. Wait, but I just want to preface that I'm not an athlete either.
I did a lot of MUN. I had been doing that since 6th grade, and it was something that it's still something I do in college.
Research was a really big part of my extracurriculars. I definitely realized like I was quite privileged to be able to get all of these opportunities because I also know a lot of students who didn't have access to all of this, and they had quite a different experience than I did in high school.
Yeah, I started doing research projects that I competed at science fairs. So I started with a local science fair, and they advanced me on to the International Science and Engineering Fair.
What are some other extracurriculars you were involved with?
I also did scouts, so I got my Eagle Scout.
Honestly, most of it was around theater, like volunteering at children's theaters, leading camps.
I did speech and debate, and eventually I dropped speech and debate for basketball. And then in sophomore year, I dropped basketball too.
I was a volunteer assistant coach for a middle school girls volleyball team.
I'm a pre-med student here too, but I did a lot of shadowing. I did a lot of free clinic work as well.
Actually, I started my own startup in high school with a few other kids, like through an after-school club. We're working on making like batteries for a startup.
What kinds of awards did you have?
The money wasn't like in our school district to send people places and to like know about this stuff, so I didn't really get any like academic awards. I mean, besides like AP stuff, like I got like AP Scholar or whatever, but that like is not real.
Portland area musical theater awards for different shows I was in.
In track and field, I got a little award in sophomore year for having the most points of any frosh or soph on the team. The school had its little like academic honors stuff that they gave, and I was like getting all of those.
So we had an award called like 201 where if you got like more than 200 service hours on top of the like required 100, then you get it. Oh, Ron Brown Captain. It's like an organization. They like recognize you like top African American students procrastination?
I put like national merit in, what do you call it, AP Scholar stuff.
I went to like the International Science and Engineering Fair, awards from like writing competitions that I like submitted some work to. And another thing I didn't mention earlier was violin. So that was like one of my big extracurricular activities. So I've like won an award or two there.
Some special awards at the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair. I also was a Science Talent Search Scholar.
What was your Common App essay about?
My Common App essay was about my identity. My family is from Ecuador, but I am obviously very white passing. I had a lot of issues with like identity as a kid, so I like kind of just talked about that and how like I found my way kind of like with music.
My Common Up essay was about my relationship with my younger sister.
I decided to focus on like my dad kind of as a role model to me.
So I lived overseas for half of my childhood in Angola and Argentina. So I talked about that experience.
So I did my Common App essay like 20 question style, like questions that I like listed out, and then I kind of answered them myself. So it's like a cute little like back and forth type of thing.
So my Common App essay was about my relationship with my dad, especially through high school when he was extremely busy with work and I was very busy with school. I didn't really get to see him very much. He was very into photography, and I was able to like try to understand him better, not necessarily through like talking, but also through like trying to understand like the way that he interacted with the camera and us, like our shared experiences through that.
My Common Application essay was actually about research, but I guess I kind of approached it in a more of a general context. Like I told a story about how I accidentally set the rug on fire in 5th grade.
How many drafts did your Common App essay go through, and how long did you spend on it?
Lowballing 20 hours, highballing 40 hours.
In terms of like solid actual drafts, probably like 2 or 3.
Maybe like 5 or 4 drafts or so.
At least 10 drafts.
So I wrote like 5 different Common App essays before deciding on this one, and then this one also went through like 6 or 7 different drafts.
I went through at least 30 drafts.
It was basically like my first draft, and I maybe made some like a little bit of edits to it.
What was the theme to your application?
It's kind of like identity. Who am I? What am I about?
It sounds cheesy and cliche, but honestly just relationships with people.
I kind of realized that my like extracurriculars and everything were kind of too scattered to kind of force a theme through it. So instead I just kind of tried to kind of embrace kind of the like, yeah, I've done a variety of things.
Honestly, like it sounds corny, but I was just myself.
I don't know if there was a theme. No. No, there wasn't.
It would just be kind of curiosity, and that's something that I talked about in my Common App essay, is essentially maybe I do a lot of different things. I do some chemistry, I do some electrical engineering, I do some artificial intelligence, but all of them were kind of spurred by my curiosity of just wanting to know how things worked, and then from that comes like things like research projects and random projects I make around the house.
What was your interview like?
I didn't get interviewed. I actually didn't get interviewed. I don't know why.
I did not have a Stanford interview.
So yeah, I did mine virtually. So I was just sitting there for 30 minutes waiting for it to happen, all like dressed up and pretty. I even like shaved for the first time. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was just a voice call in the end. So like all the pretty myself up didn't really do much. I also read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep in like one night, just in case they asked what my favorite book was or anything. He didn't ask that, but if he did, I would have been ready.
We kind of just went off some of the questions. We're just talking about things that she likes to do and things that I like to do. It's just a really good conversation.
She was asking me some like almost like technical questions about like the battery startup or like the process of going through the startup and like the fundraising process, so to make sure that like I actually like knew what I was talking about. It was like knowing your own resume or something like that.
It's most important to think out loud, because to think that you arrived at a accurate answer, or what you think is an accurate answer, and then attempting to justify it may be less convincing than just to kind of talk your way through it.
What was the best piece of advice you got during college application season?
And being able to talk about yourself, like, I don't know, not making yourself seem more important, but making yourself seem as important as you are.
Just literally write what you care about and what you like to do and what you want to do in the future, and that's just going to be the best.
It's not necessarily that you can't like embellish parts of your application, because of course like you have to do that, but like be authentic with your interests.
Take time to like find value in the journey and not the results. And from doing that, like as well, you won't be as disappointed by if you don't necessarily achieve like the reward you want or award you wanted to get, because you also just like gained a lot of knowledge and experience from the act of whatever you were doing.
What was the thing that you think got you into Stanford?
I don't know why I'm here. I'm gonna keep it a break. I had no clue why I'm here. I was very surprised when I got my acceptance. My, like, talking about identity definitely helped. I try to, like, stay away from, like, making myself, like, feel bad and saying, like, oh, I only got, like, accepted because they wanted to boost their numbers of, like, Hispanic kids. I did self-advocate in a lot of those essays. Like, I talked about why I would be a good fit, the things that I've done in high school to make me more prepared for a situation like at a school like this. And so I think that really helped. And also the art supplement helped a lot.
I'm not majoring in theater here, but I am involved in theater here, and I know that's one of the programs they did want to improve. I was just like, I have fun with a lot of the supplementals and all of that. Just having, like, trying to, you know, who I actually am came through. I think that was helpful.
I can honestly tell you,
I actually read my file. They recognized, like, how, like, mature it was me to, like, in my reflections on my, like, upbringing. Like, they saw that, but they also really liked, like, my initiative, like, just how I really liked volleyball, right? So I definitely found multiple avenues to take full advantage of this passion of mine. Like, they just like that. I think I was resourceful, took initiative, mature about this stuff.
I don't know if this is the thing that got me in, but so once you get in, at least for the early decision round, the admissions officers will send you a letter to your house, and on it they'll usually have some sort of, like, handwritten note about, like, something in your application that, like, stood out to them. And mine had written this little note about how I wrote one of my essays about, like, Hogwarts houses, and she and the point of the essay was kind of like, I didn't really feel like I fit into any one of those houses, but that was okay. And so she wrote in the note, she said, I'm sorry you never found your Hogwarts house, but I know you'll find your home here at Stanford. So I thought that was really cool that she, like, saw that essay and liked what I'd written about.
Definitely, like, I think I came across as being quite genuine. The Common App essay that I submitted at Stanford was the one with, like, more personal, like, relationship with my dad. And then Stanford also has, like, a lot of supplemental essays, which are not necessarily, like, why Stanford, but it's more like trying to understand you as a person. And so, like, my responses to those questions, like, I tried to write it in a way that, like, kind of express more, like, interpersonal qualities of myself rather than just, like, flaunting, like, my academic achievements.
There wouldn't be this one singular thing that got me into Stanford. I am aware of, like, a certain subset of people who have, like, so high accomplishments in one specific field that is, like, the thing that got them into a school like Stanford. I think for me, it's just a linear combination of many things. Like, for example, the whole thing about curiosity and liking to explore, their whole theme is, like, intellectual vitality. But just other things in general. I wasn't an incredibly accomplished person in any field. I just had a lot of things kind of going for me.
What other schools did you apply to?
Rice, UT Austin, U of H main campus, and I hesitate to say this, but I also applied to Harvard in, like, the last 2 hours of, like, the application being open.
Dartmouth, Brown, Northeastern, Brandeis, Vassar, Smith, University of Oregon.
I applied to Stanford early, and then because of that, I couldn't apply to a lot of other schools early, so I only applied to Stanford. And then other than that, though, I did apply to Purdue, Northwestern, University of Illinois at Urbana, University of Michigan,
UCLA, USC, Yale, Brown, Columbia.
Just Stanford.
A few Ivies that I liked, not all of them. I applied to, like, my own state school, like UConn, which I really liked.
I ended up, like, shotgunning all across, like, the top schools, and also obviously I applied to safety schools, and I obviously applied to schools that I saw were my fit. So I applied to, I think, 21 colleges.
Why Stanford?
I think a big part of it was, like, political climate.
I mean, why not Stanford?
I'd always intended to do computer science. And I was like, yo, Silicon Valley, being right next to it, Stanford's best computer science program, sign me up. So I figured I'd shoot my shot, and yeah, landed.
I just like the sense of quirkiness that kind of stood out here, and that everyone's still unique, which is really nice. But there's also, like, more to us than just, you know, like, studying all day and whatnot. Like, it's just a great fit. I just thought I'd really fit in.
There's just so much here in terms of, like, that intersection between, like, any sort of science field or any sort of even the humanities. There's so many intersections with tech, and I feel like those resources are not super available at a lot of other universities, and a lot of other universities aren't putting in the time and effort that Stanford is to make those resources widely available.
Stanford really values intellectual vitality, and I could really tell that in everybody who I had met at Stanford.
So out of the schools that I got into, I think my main two that I was deciding between was Stanford and MIT. I felt like the community would be more diverse here. So in this regard, I regret nothing about my decision. I'm very happy about it.
If you could go back, what is something that you would have done differently in high school?
Like, I think I definitely put way too much pressure on what grade I was getting, and in the long run, it really doesn't matter.
I guess I was the type who kind of neglected a lot of the social aspects and social life of high school a bit. So maybe I would try to turn into that more, but also maybe if I turned into that more, I wouldn't have gotten here.
I would have definitely spent some more time to balance like social life and things outside of like all the extracurriculars that I was mentioning. Sometimes I wonder if I actually did too much.
Do you have any other advice for people who are applying to colleges right now?
Don't be pre-med. Spend more time on your Common App. Don't care too much about the SAT. It's not that big a deal.
You do want to be able to kind of bring something unique to the table. Don't be afraid to maybe mention like some of the smaller things you did that maybe aren't like a big oh, I won the science fair or whatever. Like for me, like I said, I mentioned like I wrote a book, like I composed music, I tried to make a video game. Like none of those were like things I had to do for a school or a club or anything. They were just like kind of hobbies I had.
Like research into the schools that you want and like talk about like exactly how you fit in, and be specific in your supplemental essays, and also definitely start as early as you can.
The one insight that I make, and perhaps I'm not in the right position to say this, but the one insight is that the college that you get into in your undergrad is not the end of the world. If you're here at Stanford, if you're here at any other reputable university, there's so many of them, and there's so many opportunities. And to be quite honest, at a university that's of a little bit of a lower caliber, you really have an opportunity to shine. So if you don't get into a top, what we so-called top-tier university, that is no big deal at all. There are so many opportunities, and there's just so many ways that you can do very, very well in college. And I think like in general, the college experience among Stanford students, the college experience among people in my hometown of Syracuse University, they're very, very comparable, right? There's not too much difference. And so I say this because I feel like if you're under this mindset, you're more likely to produce an application that's more genuine to you. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't apply to these top-tier universities, because you should, but then in the application process, to just keep in mind, just be chill, be yourself.
Thanks, gamers, for watching my video. Press like and subscribe, and make sure to hit the button bell with the button bell on it. The one ding, and have a great afternoon, morning, noon, or night, wherever you are. Because Lordrick's International, Mr. Worldwide, like Pitbull, editor, edit a picture of Lordrick in my fingers with Pitbull's face on him. Isn't that funny? Okay, good night.